Hello guys, welcome back to the SQL for Testers series. In episode 1, we learned what SQL is, why testers need SQL, and how SQL helps us validate the data in real world projects. Today we are going to move from theory to hands-on practice and create our very first database. Before we jump into today's session, I just want to mention that I have already uploaded a separate video covering the installation of MySQL and MySQL Workbench. So I'm not going to spend time on the installation steps again in this video. If you haven't installed them yet, please check out that video first. And if you need the installation documentation or setup guide, just leave a comment below and I'll share it with you. Alright, let's get started and create our first database. Open MySQL Workbench and connect to your local MySQL server. A new SQL tab will be opened and this is where we will write and execute all our SQL commands. Now before we start creating our database, I'd like to clarify one important point. The database we are creating today is purely for learning purposes. In real projects, you usually won't create databases from scratch. Most of the time, the application and database are already set up and testers are given access to that. Our primary responsibility would be to validate and verify data rather than build databases. Alright, let's go ahead and create our very first database using the create database statement followed by the name of the database. Now executing this query and our database is created now. Think of database as a container which can hold multiple tables. In real world applications, a database contains hundreds or even thousands of tables depending on the project size. Now that our database is ready, let's go ahead and create our table. Using the create table statement followed by the name of the database dot table name. Here I have specified all the column names along with the data types so that the database knows what type of data should be inserted into those columns, and we can specify constraints like primary key, not null, etc. Now execute this query and perfect, our table is created now. Now before inserting any records into our employees table, let's go ahead and understand the table structure quickly. A table consists of rows and columns. The columns are called as fields and the rows are called as records. Our employee table consists of fields like employee ID, first name, last name and so on. Since we haven't inserted any records yet, all the values seems to be null. Now let's go ahead and insert few records into our employees table using the insert into statement followed by the name of the database dot table name. I have specified all the fields here and the values should be exactly in the same order as the columns. Let's execute this query and 10 records are now successfully inserted into our table. And from here the tester's role begins. Whenever a database is created from scratch, testers will be provided with a mapping document or design document and we will be asked to validate the DDL structure of each table. We can validate the DDL structure using this query, that is describe statement followed by the name of the database dot table name and executing this query, and we will get a result like this. Now we have to validate whether all the fields they have specified in the mapping document is available in this result, and the name of the field should also match with the mapping document. Then the data type for each field and the field length should also match. Then if they have specified some not null constraints, that also should be matching here. Then we have to verify the primary key constraint, and if they have specified some default values for each field, that should also be displaying here in the default column. If you would like me to create a detailed video on DDL structure validation from a tester's perspective, just let me know in the comments and I'll be happy to make one. Now let's verify whether all the records are inserted into the employees table. I'll execute this select query and there we go. We can see all records in the employees table. If you look closely, all the values we inserted are correctly mapped to their respective columns, which means our data has been inserted successfully. And that's it for today, guys. I'll provide all the queries we used in this video in the description below, so feel free to copy and practice them. Today we have successfully created a database, a table, inserted records and retrieved data using a select query. In the next episode, we will dive deeper into the select statement and learn how to retrieve specific records from a table using different conditions. So stay tuned and I'll see you in the next episode.